Hello lovely goats, my name is Wesley and today we're doing a budget deck tech on Y'shtola Knight's Blessed from the Final Fantasy collaboration. And because we all have different amounts of money that we want to spend on our hobbies, I made a $70 version, a $140 version and a $280 version. And for those of you who stick around till the end of this video, at the end I will also post 2 alternative ways to build the commander besides the one I'm doing right now. Quick disclaimer, this deck is made to my personal taste and opinion. So card choices of course may differ person to person. Also, I've used Moxfield's internal appraisal tool and choosing Card Market as my dealer in euros because I'm from Europe for this appraisal. So I did this on March 10th and this means that daily price fluctuation or currency conversion could make this deck cheaper or more expensive than what I'm showing right now. So Y'shtola is a commander from Final Fantasy collaboration. It's an Esper commander and it costs 1 colorless and Esper to play it. It's a 2/4 with vigilance, and at the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. And it has, whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. So straight away we see this commander has inherent value, and it has a way to draw a lot of cards, and it has a way to finish our opponents, built in itself. Now because of this, I'm going with a more control-y style deck. I will play a small amount of creatures, a medium amount of card draw and a lot of removal. I really want to control the game and take out threats that come my way and slowly grind my opponents out. So now that I've identified which direction I'm going with this deck, I can start building it. I also would greatly appreciate it if you would like the video and subscribe to our channel, hit the bell notifications to never miss a new video. So let's start with the $70 version. This version falls in power bracket 2, but a very fun and strong bracket 2 in my opinion. So we're running 13 creatures besides our commander. Our creatures can be categorized in one of 3. Either they make our spells cheaper, and especially our instants and sorceries, they draw us cards, or they make our opponents lose life whenever we gain life. And we're running High Fate Trickster as a way to be able to cast spells on flash speed, since it's really nice to be able to trigger our commander even in our opponent's turns without instants. Now the key with sorceries, and frankly everything besides creatures and lands, is that they need to be 3 CMC or more in order to trigger our commander. With this in mind, we go for a couple cards of card draw, a couple board wipes, and we also have Exsanguinate to finish the game off, or top our life off if we're in trouble. And we have Arachnicus File Duplication to copy Y'shtola. For our instance, we can split these up in removal, counter spells, and we also run 1 tutor, which also triggers our commander, and we run Flare of Fortitude, a cheaper alternative to Teferi's Protection. Now for our artifacts, we have ramp artifacts, we have protection artifacts, and we're also running Norm's Annex, because this will make it very hard for people to attack us. So for enchantments, we have a couple of categories as well. The first one is auras, and it's important to note with the auras that Y'shtola's second ability says that whenever we cast a non-creature spell with CMC 3 or more, Y'shtola itself will deal 2 damage to our opponents and give us 2 life. So the key here is that Y'shtola, the creature, deals the damage. Because this allows us to play cards like Curiosity, Helm of the Gastlord, Sigil of Sleep, and Ophidian Eye to get some insane value, because this will trigger on all our opponents at the same time. Then we have protection enchantments, we have card draw enchantments, and we run Leyline of Anticipation, which is another way to enable casting everything on instant speed. And of course we would like to have this card in our opening hand. And why do we care about casting on instant speed? It's just because casting on instant speed really allows us to maximize our control potential, because you just wait until the very last moment to respond with things. We also run Shark Typhoon because it will generate us some bodies in the late game, and we run Sanguine Bond because it just goes really well with Y'shtola's generate life ability. So that's the $70 version of this deck tech. As stated, we're not doing lands in these deck decks, because you can really get away with just playing your basic lands if you don't have a lot of money or not a big collection yet. And some people really have all the dual lands and all the great lands and all the expensive lands, and yeah, you can just play those. So now that we have the most budget version out of the way, let's see what happens if we step it up a notch. In the $140 version, we're going to take some cards out, we're going to put some cards in, and here's a list of the cards we're going to be taking out, and here's a list of the cards we're going to be putting in. with, first of all, Polar Citadel. This will just really speed up the finishing potential of this deck, because we're going to be casting a lot of spells from the top of our library and by paying life instead of mana. Since we're running a lot of 3 or 4 mana cards in this deck, and our commander generating us 2 life whenever we cast these non-creature cards, it means we're most of the time only losing out 1 to 2 life for casting these spells. Next up we have Ink Shield. So this one goes in because if someone decides to swing at us with a lot of power, we cast this and we will take 0. And then we will probably generate a lot of flyers, which will also probably kill the opponent attacking us on the clapback. We have a Misleading Signpost going in, because it's ramp and it's a way to redirect a big threat to one of our opponents, and it also triggers our commander for extra value. Next up we're putting in Quantum Misalignment. This just makes 2 copies of our commander in 2 turns, and both of those costs will also trigger our commander. So imagine having 3 Ishtalas, you're going to be finishing the game probably the next turn by then. Then we have Sink into Stupor. It's a bounce spell, but also a land, so we run this instead of one of the basic lands to really optimize our draws. Then the black staple, Black Market Connections. Since Ishtala generates us life by casting 3 mana or more non-creature spells, we can really take away some of the pain that Black Market also gives by choosing more options, and this will just really be a value engine for this deck. Then we have Snuff Out, which is a removal spell that we can cast for free if we control a swamp. And we pay 4 life, which is fine because by casting this for free and paying 4 life, we get 2 back from Ishtala, so net we only lose 2 life. And it's a great way to surprise your opponent when you're tapped out and then suddenly still can do something about what's coming our way. Then we have Bloodchief Ascension, which is just an unbelievable card with this commander, right? Every Ishtala trigger will also trigger Bloodchief Ascension, and we'll just gain a lot of life over the course of the game while we just burn out our opponents. And lastly, we put in Delny Streetwise Lookout. This doubles our commander's triggers, which also makes it that whenever we trigger our secondary ability of our commander, it will deal 4 damage total, which means we also qualify for the card draw immediately. So now we have the 140 bucks budget out of the way. We go to the 280 bucks variant. We will cut the following cards and we will put in the following card. The changes we make here will not change our bracket from 3 to 4, but will stay within bracket 3, but will adding quite some power. First up, there's Roaming Throne, and just like Delny that we just discussed previously, it will double the triggers from our commander. Then we have Sheoldred the Apocalypse, which is a true powerhouse in this deck with this commander, and will just really be able to close out the game so much quicker by all the triggers. Then we have a Mithril Coat, because the one thing we could use a little bit extra of is good ways to protect our commander. We're also putting in Smothering Tithe in this version because it's a white staple and just generates so much mana over time, which we can really utilize in this deck because our commander really draws us a lot of cards whenever we just keep casting these 3 mana or more instants. And it's just a really good engine this way to be able to keep casting these cards. We also have a Flawless Maneuver going in. It's a free way to make our creatures indestructible while also triggering our commander in the process. Just amazing. And of course, Teferi's Protection also needs to go in here. It's a white staple as well that really can save us for a turn whenever we're in a pinch. And it also triggers our commander, of course. So that sums up the 280 bucks variant. So at the beginning of this video, I also promised you guys to list 2 other ways to build this commander. And since I'm a man of my word, here they are. You could build this in a artifact themed way, which focuses on playing a lot of colorless artifacts with affinity for artifact or cost reduction for artifacts. And you can think of cards like Ugin, the Inevitable, Artificer Class, and Cloud Key, for example. And the other way is a stacks themed deck, which really focuses more on stacks pieces to slow down the game rather than removal. And here you can think of adding cards like Grand Arbiter Augustine IV, Back to Basics, Narset, and Static Warp. So if you lasted all this way, then I just really want to deeply express my gratitude and thank you for your support. Let me know in the comment section what cards you would add to what variant or which crazy brew you made from this commander. And then of course I will be seeing you guys pretty soon with another video.